There will be spoilers ahead. Lots of spoilers, so be careful, won't you?
I tell you, Mike, a podcast is getting stale, see? We need a new gimmick. Something to really shock the audience. Keep them riveted to their podcast app.
Sure, I got that, but what can we do?
How about this? Shock casting. Every time you make a really good point about a movie, the listener gets a mild electric shock.
Brilliant! But, one thing. Won't that make them not want to hear us make any good points?
True, but how often do we do that? Well, let's put a pin in that one for now.
I got it! Smellocast. When we're describing scenes from a movie, we transmit the smell of whatever the scene should smell like. You know, a smoky bar, a meadow with flowers and cow pies, whatever.
Genius! The tech isn't there yet, but it should be any day. Love how you're thinking, though. Wait. I got it. Plankton cast. Every time you mention the key grip in a movie, the listener gets sprayed with a fine mist of phytoplankton.
You star! I love it! It makes no sense at all, is technologically unfeasible, and would just annoy people. It's a winner!
Yes, that's it! And we can try it out with this week's installment of Ready When You Are, CB, Matinee. We are smart. We are also Max the Tingler Levine and Mike Hypno Magic Loose. Show us your hypnotic eye, Mike.
Look deep into the hypnotic space.
Oh, I've been hypnotized.
It puckers with delight.
God. With a name like Puckers, it's got to be good.
That's good jam.
Yeah. But before we get to the hypnotic spanus,
Hello.
we have our poll question.
Poll question.
Last week we asked you, what is your favorite comfort movie? What movie makes you feel all warm and snuggly huggly? And the king of the penguin snuggly hugglers, Vince of the North, said, I read the poll question before listening to the podcast. Oh, you fool! You've doomed us all!
There's nothing wrong with that.
Oh, right. I was about to say Eraserhead was my comfort film. What? Okay. However, since Mike mentioned it during the podcast, I think I should change my answer. I also frequently watch Aguirre, The Wrath of God, or Fitzcarraldo when I want to distract myself. Of course, it's Werner friggin' Herzog. For comfort?
Well, hey, everybody has their way of relaxing.
They have their thing. They have their coping stuff, sure. But they don't overwhelm my mind too much. Well, that makes one of you. They may seem like unusual films. You think?
Stop
but
it!
For some reason, they relax me. They're hypnotic in their own way. Okay, yeah, that I can see. A more conventional, perhaps relaxing film would be The Princess Bride, which I simply find charming regardless of how many times I watch it. It's hard not to finish it in a good mood.
Oh.
We're going to hear that one more than once, but thank you, Vince.
Yeah.
Weirdo.
Be nice to Vince. He answers our poll question every week, and he listens every week.
Yes, he does. He's maybe a weirdo, but he's our weirdo.
He's a very nice man.
Yes, he's a very clean man. Jamie Kleinert also brings in The Princess Bride and a strange absence of Werner Herzog. The good guys and girls win, loves wins, sword fighting, wit, and a touch of miracles. Plus, knowing all the lines. Yeah.
I think, on the movie poster, the tagline for The Princess Bride was, "It's Werner Herzog free."
Now, with no Werner Herzog. Keith Wright suggests Time Bandits.
Oh.
It's goofy and heartbreaking wrapped up in a fantasy film. That's actually a really good summation.
So now wait, see our entire episode on Time Bandits and The Princess Bride? Yes.
Yes, you should. Nick Hoffman says, I'm partial to the Adventures of Baron Munchausen.
Oh, yeah.
It's the absurdity of it all, plus the ridiculous performances from Oliver Reed, Jonathan Pryce, and the uncredited Robin Williams. Always makes me happy.
Neat. That's a cool film. I saw that in the theater when it came out. I haven't seen it since.
I think I saw it in a second-run theater long after it came out. International inventor of the Tatum, Richard Tatum, says...
his name's just Richard Tatum. There's no inventor.
Well, because he hasn't gotten the credit.
There's no Tatum.
There is. It's just what's-his-face took it, stole it, put his name on it, and I won't mention it.
Yeah, what is a Tatum, by the way? What is a Tatum?
I will never speak it aloud.
You already did. Ha ha! I caught you.
No, Tatum is fine, but it's the evil bastard who stole the credit for creating the Tatum.
You don't even know what it is.
And the Tatum second generation.
You don't even remember what you said.
He says, I have two, Singing in the Rain and the Errol Flynn, The Adventures of Robin Hood. Don't you worry, never fear. Robin Hood will soon be here. That's the one, right?
No, that's Daffy Duck.
Oh, right. No, it's Bugs Bunny.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, there's two. I forgot there's two Robin Hood Warner Brothers cartoons.
But Errol Flynn does appear in the cartoon.
Yes, he does.
It's like the first time I've seen them every time I watch them. They always make me laugh, and they both move me with the idea that somehow there's justice in the world. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, that's nice.
Our scholar, Adam Mark, says two come to mind.
Ooh.
Pretty Woman. Ooh, damsel in distress, rescued by a white knight, and then she rescues him right back. The rom-com existed prior to this film, but Pretty Woman ensured it became the cultural force for the age. Snappy writing, every character perfectly cast, that's true. Iconic clothing, perfect music selections, and a sentimental story that is heartfelt but not saccharine. It's always a joy to revisit. I have to try to do the voice right. What's your dream?
Who is that?
At the end, actually he's a bracket character. He's a homeless guy at the beginning and the end of the film walking around calling out to people, what's your dream?
Oh, never
Welcome
saw
to
it.
Hollywood.
Oh.
Mary Poppins. Oh, the 64. The crown jewel of Disney's vault. The film is one of the best cast of all times. Andrews, Van Dyke, Tomlinson, Johns, and the kids.
Van Dyke?
He did a great job except for when he was talking. The score and songs transcend their era and genre, and the air of mystery and slight menace throughout the piece just captivates you, no matter if it's your first or 100th time you've seen it. The film captures qualities normally not seen in cinema: charity, making your own joy, loneliness, and most importantly, a child's yearning for love and parents' hope to provide it along their imperfect ability to meet that need. Good point.
Yeah.
The film is also lovingly made, both with the physical sets and the animation interlude. It's my favorite film of childhood. We'll leave aside my adult analysis, where apparently Mary Poppins is some kind of chaos witch who enslaves human men as her familiars and feeds off human stress, repeatedly entering unhappy homes, lying about her intentions, gaslighting children, getting fathers fired from the family's only source of income, compelling the elderly employer to laugh until he dies, having the mother abandon her noble ideals, literally turning sashes proclaiming women's empowerment into the whimsical tale of a kite, and leaving the whole bunch euphoric and happy by her magic as opposed to their own free will. It's a beautiful thing. Chim chim chiroo.
Now wait, he said we're going to leave this off, but just in case. Yeah.
Grim. Makes sense though.
Yeah. I got to say, the British to this day are still talking about Dick Van Dyke's accent in that movie.
And well, they should.
But the songs are so catchy.
They are so catchy, and the performances are really good.
Yeah, it's a really fun film. I've never seen Pretty Woman, though. Have you? Oh, you obviously have.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Never seen it.
No.
That may have to come up.
I know.
Chrissy Becker-Krenitsky says, I have a few, but the holiday is what I turn to the morning after the election. Well, that's a pretty good indicator.
Yeah.
It's a well-written rom-com with beautiful performances that tug at your heart without being too heavy. It makes me laugh, it makes me fall in love with Jack Black, and it has a feel-good, happy ending that is the equivalent of a warm cup of cocoa. That is pretty much the definition of a comfort movie.
Yeah.
Thank you. And from our hotline, we have my little peanut butter cup, Doris Hippelmeyer.
Oh, dear. Well,
Talk to me, Doris. Talk slow.
Hi, this is Doris Hippelmeyer. Hi, Max. I've come to answer your question this week, which just happens to be, what's your favorite comfort movie? Well, it's hard to just nail it down to just one. It depends on my mood, But I have three, and I'm going to mention all three. If I just want a good laugh and just forget everything that's going on, I'm going to watch Airplane. It's got bunches of laughs. It's got Johnny. How can you go wrong? Another movie that I will always put on if I want good laughs and I just want a little bit of adventure, I put on What's Up, Doc? Because, there's music in there, and there's romance, and there's really geeky guys and some plaid bags. It's a good time anytime. And then there's always that movie that if it's on, you're going to watch it, or sometimes you put it on because, you just like it, and it's just, a good time for a couple hours. And that movie for me is Twister. I know, kind of a weird choice, but I've seen it so many times, and I just really like the movie. So there you are. There are my not one, not two, but 3 movies. Hey, Max, maybe we could pick one of those 3 and sit down and watch it together. Maybe some cocoa. I've got some Kahlua for the cocoa. What do you think? Thank you for Max Mike Movies. I listen every week, and I never miss it. Bye.
Wow. Well, okay, Airplane and What's Up, Doc? I totally get those. Oh, you saucy little wench.
Get a room.
Twister? Really?
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's one of those movies if you're familiar with. Yeah. And it is fun to see, who shows up, and it's like, good Lord, there's Cameron from Ferris Bueller. And
Isn't Philip Seymour Hoffman in that?
Philip Seymour Hoffman is in it.
If my mom actually really liked that film. She also really liked The Eraser, which I have never understood. But sure, Doris, Doris, if that really is your name, and thank you for the call. We love the hotline calls. So
we do. Thank you so much.
Is that everybody?
What about you, Mike? Yeah, that's everybody. What's your comfort movie?
What's Up, Doc is one of the biggies. I have loved that film since I saw it in the theater 5 times in 1972. I also really like Charade. I know it's not a comfort film, but I just really like that film. And when we were talking about just before the show, Bell Book and Candle is another biggie. And Desk Set. I really like Desk Set. Okay. It's a Katharine Hepburn, Spencer Tracy film. My mom really liked the film. It just, for some reason, made me want to work in an office because it's like, oh, look how much fun they're having. It's so cool to work in an office. They lied.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But, and Singing in the Rain. How can you go wrong with Singing in the Rain? Casablanca. I mean, it's a big list. But how about you? I know it was my question, but what about you?
One of them is Sense and Sensibility.
Oh.
The Merchant Ivory one. I think it was Merchant Ivory or Ang Lee. I forget which.
Does he make ivory soap?
It's the one with Emma Thompson and Kate Winslet and Alan Rickman, and I just really like it because it's pretty to look at, and the acting is great, and really nothing happens. So the major stress points are pretty well. There is a life-threatening illness at one point and a heartbreak, but no one is shot at or anything.
Meet major stress.
And oddly enough, Kevin Smith's Dogma. I just really enjoy it. I think it's a lot of fun. And it's really is good at taking me out of the world.
And let's face it, everyone's seen it at least 300 times. So, because it used to be every weekend, just like Breakfast Club. It was on Comedy Central.
Every weekend. Edited. They had to edit the hell out of it, especially any scenes with Jay and Silent Bob. Because they had to bleep everything Jason Mewes said.
Yeah, well.
But, those are my 2 biggies. I'd say Casablanca, sure, but those 2.
Yeah. Well, that was great, but how are people going to answer our next question, and what is it?
I'm not going to tell them yet how they answer it.
No.
Because they could use that knowledge to destroy us.
I thought it was because Cheese Boy told us to.
Yeah, that too. But this is the sort of counter element of the last week's. Do you have a favorite hate watch movie? A movie that on some level you can't stand. You know it's bad. It makes you feel bad, but you can't keep yourself from watching.
Like Moonfall or Geostorm.
Yes, very much like that. Or The Eraser. I don't know.
Oh, my mother loved that. I don't get it.
I know. I had to watch it with her twice.
Never could figure that out. She also liked that. What was that ice skating film where they had the hockey player in the Olympic?
Oh, Cutting Edge.
Yeah, she loved that too.
Well, she wouldn't have liked it for my reason, which was Moira Kelly.
Oh.
Ooh.
Okay.
She was awesome. She had such great energy and those beautiful blue eyes. Wow. Anyway.
But people can answer blah, 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 blah at the end.
Blah, blah, blah,
we'll
blah,
tell them
cetera,
later.
et cetera. Yep. So now we get to things about the movie.
The facts.
Budget.
What's the name of the movie?
Oh, I knew that when we started. Crap.
Yeah, but I don't think you actually ever said it.
I did. I said it in the opening.
Phew.
I made sure to write
But
that.
what
Yes.
is it again?
Yes, the movie is 1993's Matinee.
I forgot.
Yeah. The budget, $13 million.
Ooh.
Box office, $9 million.
Yeah, I had a feeling.
It got good reviews, but people, it just didn't resonate. This was, of course, directed by Joe Dante of Gremlins fame.
Oh, that's what he... Okay.
Yep. For Mant, the movie within the movie, Joe Dante cast actors who have appeared in 1950s era science fiction films. This included, but not limited to, Kevin McCarthy.
Yay.
You're next! You're next! Robert Cornthwaite.
Oh, I don't know him.
I'm not sure who that is. And William Shallert.
Everyone's
AKA
dad.
I was going to say Patty Duke's dad, but everyone's dad.
And Nils Barris.
Yes, Niels Barris. They're all over the place in this. A group of fans took the clips of Mant and stitched it together to make a sort of mini movie, which goes about 15 minutes. The print was only available on the laser disc of Matinee, and they showed it at conventions sometimes, but it was not available on the DVD or anywhere else except YouTube. Yeah, it's there. It's about 15 minutes. It's not a movie, but it's funny to watch. Lawrence Woolsey, played by John Goodman, is based upon the real Hollywood showman William Castle, about whom Mike knows much.
I looked it up.
The character is even introduced in a recreation of Castle's famous trademark of a silhouette of him in a director's chair with his head in profile and his cigar. His name refers to Lawrence Woolner, one of the Woolner brothers whose company, Woolner Brothers Pictures, distributed such classics as Attack of the 50-Foot Woman.
Harry!
The seat gimmicks used in this film, the ones that gave your Spanus a little buzz, were actually used by William Castle for screenings of The Tingler in 1959.
It was called Percepto.
Percepto. Kathy Moriarty's character, his girlfriend / accomplice, is named Ruth Corday. That's a tribute to Mara Corday, who starred in Tarantula, The Black Scorpion, and The Giant Claw, a bird as big as a battleship.
Wasn't Leo G. Carroll in Tarantula? I think he was.
Yes, he was. He was, in fact, over a barrel.
Oh, yeah.
We will talk about the cast later, but this is the film debut of one very famous, the U.S. film debut of one very famous screen actress. You know who?
No.
She was in the little, I don't know if it's supposed to be a movie in a movie or a preview, the Shook Up Shopping Cart.
Oh, God. Yes, that.
Yes, that was Naomi Watts.
Oh.
Yeah.
Lucky her.
That was her debut in this country.
My mother, the car.
We'll get back to that, too.
It was an uncle.
For Mant, Kevin McCarthy plays a general named General Ankrum. And that's a tribute to the character actor Morris Ankrum, who is one of the most familiar faces in similar supporting roles in the same era science fiction movies.
Ah.
You'd know him if you saw him.
Yeah.
Mr. Spectre, played by Jesse White, is based on Samuel Z. Arkoff, or
God.
Samuel L. Bronkowitz, the real-life head of American International Pictures.
Wow.
All praise the core man!
Yeah. Okay.
This was, by the way, his final film
Aw.
before he died at the age of 80.
No, I wonder if he got one more trash bag commercial in there before he died.
Hefty.
Wimpy, wimpy. Ooh, that's a deeper.
James Villamere plays a hood named Harvey Starkweather. If that name rings a bell, he's named after Charles Starkweather, the serial killer who murdered 11 people between December of 1957 and January of 1958.
Ah.
The character Herb Denning was named after Richard Denning, who played Mark Williams in The Creature from the Black Lagoon and Rick in The Day the World Ended.
Rick, why do you despise me?
I suppose if I gave you half a thought, I would.
Different Rick.
The destruction in the theater called by Woolsey equipment was inspired by the subsonic sense-around system that was used to simulate the feel of an earthquake in the movie Earthquake. See our entire episode on Earthquake.
And they
and?
use sense around in Battlestar Galactica.
Oh, God, that's right, they did.
Yeah, because I saw it in senseless sound, as we call it.
Unlike the exaggerated version of the film, the damage caused by sense around usually was limited to some falling plaster.
Yeah.
They used it for a total of 4 movies. We know 2 of them, apparently, and then it was shelved.
Good.
Gene and Stan are listening to the album The Sick Humor of Lenny Bruce,
yes,
which was released in 1959, before Stan's mom comes home and they have to stop because it's naughty.
Well, he says tits and ass, which I'm not going to
bleep
bleep out.
The least of which he says, yeah.
Yeah.
The font of the movie title for Mant is the same font from The Deadly Mantis.
Mantis? Is that a conspiracy?
Attack of the 50-foot chicken wing. Near the end of the film, John Goodman pitches to Jesse White about having ghosts haunt the theater patrons in his next film. This is, of course, something William Castle did in 13 Ghosts.
It was Illusion O. It's part of my notes.
Like Lion-O and Panthro?
No, you used red and...
Other Thundercats?
You had red and blue glasses, and you could, if you wanted to shut the red eye, you wouldn't see the ghosts, and if you shut the blue eye, you would. So apparently you could see them anyway, but whatever. Because they're too scary.
This is just a little techno-geek thing. Howard, the theater manager played by Robert Picardo, mentions Conelrad in relation to his pocket transistor radio. That stands for Control of Electromagnetic Radiation and was the first emergency alert broadcasting system in the U.S. It was operating about from 51 to 63.
Oh.
Yeah, eventually it was 63. It was replaced by the emergency broadcast system and then the emergency alert system in 1997.
They changed the EBS?
They did. That's why we don't get those on the TV anymore.
Oh, we should do one.
I know.
There.
If this had been an actual emergency, you would have...
Wow, we just found a new way to lower our audience. Like we need that.
There's other stuff, and like I say, Mike has got some information later about William Castle himself. But I think for now, we get to the story. Key West. The sun is warm, the water is clear, and we're all gonna die!
It's true.
I mean, in the peaceful town of Key West, a mere 90 miles from Cuba, Navy brats Gene and Dennis are trying to fit in at yet another school. Jeepers. What is Gene's coping mechanism? Going to the movies. Man, what a pathetic loser. I mean, who would just watch movie after movie after... Moving on! Gene is a big fan of horror movies, and what do you know? One of the titans of cheesy horror movies, Lawrence Woolsey, is coming to town to promote his new movie, Mant, an atomic horror story of what happens when a man and a radioactive ant love each other very, very much. I mean, I'm sorry, get merged in some hideous mutation, and so on and so forth.
At a dentist's office.
Yeah, at a dentist's office. Known for their high concentration of ants.
Yeah.
Lighthearted fun, right? Well, no, because this is the end of October 1962, and what's going on then? Oh, just a little bun fight called the Cuban Missile Crisis, where we all came within a hair's breadth of going up in an atomic maelstrom. A family picture! I have to stop or only dogs will be able to hear this podcast. Gene wants to see the movie Mant, and who wouldn't? But he's also dealing with his attraction to future hippie Sandra and his new friend Stan, who is being menaced by an anachronistic greaser who's obsessed with Stan's girlfriend Stacy.
Ooh.
The rest of it, everyone goes to the movies, hijinks ensues, shenanigans shenanigate, and it all works out for the best in the end for everyone except the poor Mant.
The film.
Shenanigate.
It's a word I made up and now it's real.
Sadly, that is how English works.
Yep, it is the verb form of shenanigans.
Okay.
That is how you get shenanigans, you shenanigate.
I'm sure you have many times.
Yep. Oh, I shenanigate like nobody's business.
So, usual question, Max.
Yes.
Did you see this when it came out?
No, I saw it on videotape a couple of years after. Did you?
Yes. Not only
You
did
saw
I
it
see
in the theater.
Not only did I see it in the theater, but Joe Dante was there. So it was part of one of the I can't remember, I think it was part of one of the science fiction film marathons, and
Oh, wow.
they got him to show up, and he talked
it's
about
cool.
it was cool, and we honestly loved Mant more than we loved the rest of the movie. But that's, neither here nor there. So yeah, I got to see it in the theater, a full theater, lots of people with a balcony, so it was very themic, right? Because it was the summer, or no, it was
Very
the
appropriate.
Coolidge Corner. So yes, I did.
Nice.
Do you remember if you enjoyed it at the time?
I did. I remember enjoying it a lot. I thought it was just fun. I mean, I also thought it was a little jarring at times. I mean, it's kind of hard to do a coming-of-age story and a cute little thing about the movies when literally the world was a paper-thin membrane away from ending.
Yeah. We'll get back to that. Usually we
will.
like to start with the cast, and this one's going to be a little weird because we've got cast, and then we've got all some of the people you mentioned.
cast.
Well, Mant cast, but yeah. Well, here's our buddy from last week, John Goodman.
Yep, John Goodman, who I think does a terrific job.
He does great as William Castle.
He is wonderful as William Castle. You're like, wow, this guy could sell ice to the Eskimos. I love the bit where he's psyching up the theater employees. These are the ticket takers, the ushers, the candy counter, and he's talking to them like he's General Patton, and they're about to storm the beaches of Normandy.
Yeah, and they're going to make this experience for their theater goers, which it's a Saturday matinee, it's a bunch of kids. So mostly. So yeah, and he's just as energetic, but very different from his role last week in Barton Fink.
Yes.
He's fun, and
he is. And he's not scary.
No, although that's what he's trying to sell to people. And it's funny because his movies aren't scary either.
No, they're really not. Although the audiences in this movie seem to get freaked out.
Yeah.
You gotta remember, we are pretty damn jaded after half a century of this kind of stuff.
Well, and also a lot of the people in the audience are 12 or younger.
Yeah, true.
And the rest of them, the ones that are older, are doing what they're supposed to doing. They're necking.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So John Goodman, good.
Yep. Kathy Moriarty. She's always fun.
I don't know her from anything. What would I know her from?
Yes, you do. You would know her as Mrs. Jake LaMotta from Raging Bull. That was her first role.
Saw it once, but I loved the film. It was a great film, but I don't remember.
She's Montana in Soap Dish. She's in a lot of stuff. Whenever they need a really snarky, smoky-voiced broad, I mean, there's no other way to put it, they get Kathy Moriarty.
She reminds me of the woman in Tapeheads. Is like, will he pick me? Yeah, he'll pick you. He'll pick you.
Yeah, no, she, I think, was sort of channeling a bit of her, but no, that was not Kathy Moriarty.
No, yeah.
But I think she's terrific. She's a great sort of counterbalance to Goodman because she sees right through Woolsey.
Yeah.
She knows exactly what he really is.
It's not a big part, and she doesn't have nearly enough to do, which is... I'm noticing a theme in Hollywood that there's women characters that don't have a lot to do.
Oh, you're just imagining that. Jeez. Yeah. Next thing you know, they'll say there aren't any black characters in this movie.
There aren't at all.
Oh, no. There was a guy, he's walking a dog way in the background near a car, and you see his head for a second.
No. So,
No, nobody has any lines. It's very, very white. They're referred to. Sandra asks, why do the black kids have to go to a different school?
Yeah, I have to say
that's stupid.
It's interesting to mention racism without actually showing any of the people that are involved with it. But yeah.
Well, that's the thing. They mention a lot of stuff in this movie that doesn't get a lot of deep treatment.
Well, there's a lot of stuff they mention, which is probably why. But
yeah, they do put a lot in. And then we got to some of the kids.
Yeah.
We got Simon Fenton as Gene and Omri Katz, yes, that's his name, as Stan. And these two kids went on to do... Okay, moving on.
They've been in other things. Yeah. It's just they're not...
They did a lot of TV stuff. They didn't really take off.
No, which is fine. I think Simon does fine as Gene. I don't think he's particularly interesting. I actually think Stan is a little better played. He also has he has a little bit more to do because he's not only is he acting the horny teen part, but he's also acting the please don't kill me part. So
Yeah, which is reasonable. I like Gene's relationship with his little brother. I think they handle that nicely. He's like both tormenting him, but also really protective of him.
Yeah, just like I did with my older sister. And I still do to this day. Yeah, they're fine. And the kid who played Dennis is fine. He seems very much like a little kid, you know.
He's believable.
You know, his little cowboy hat and stuff.
Yep. You got Lisa Jacob, or Jacob, Jakub, as Sandra. She's known for being in Independence Day, and she's one of the kids in Mrs. Doubtfire.
Oh, see, she to me just made me laugh because it's like, oh, she's the child of radicals. Oh, she's going to be a bra burner. She's going to be,
she's going to be a hippie. She's a pro. It's 1962. We're just starting that.
She calls her parents by their first names. It's like,
yep.
And I was sitting there just like Gene, watching her when they're doing duck and cover during one of the air raid siren things. She's like, you realize this doesn't do anything. We're not safe. This isn't going to save anyone. I'm like, were there really kids doing that at that point? Maybe there were.
There might have been. I'm not sure. She is right on the most part. It won't save you from an atomic blast, but it wasn't supposed to. It was supposed to save you from flying. The same reason they did that during hurricanes or tornadoes. It's supposed to protect you from flying debris.
Well, let's face it. If anybody
depends how close the explosion is.
Yeah. Well, if anybody had bothered to bomb Key West of all places, the island, if I remember correctly, is something like 2 miles long. If a bomb had landed anywhere on that island, there was no point.
There would be no island left. Yeah. But the main reason they were worried is they were the closest point to Cuba. You know, Castro could have simply rode up in a rowboat and thrown an atomic bomb at them.
Yeah, and there is a Navy base there, to be fair, so there is that. There is. But, there's other places to hit.
There's Kelly Martin as Sherry, who, I looked at when we see the inside of her bedroom, it's like, and it's pink.
Pink.
Like, wow, that's a lot of pink.
I will say this for the two kid female characters. Both of them are very much in charge of what they want and who they want to be. And I did like that. Now, again,
they're very strong.
Ruth Nuts doesn't have so much to do, but Sandra, Lisa Jacob, is out there basically saying, you need to open your eyes. This doesn't work. This is what's going on. We really need to stop making, and she's like out there proselytizing about, quite honestly, things that make a lot of sense, which she has got from her parents, but she's like, you need to pay attention. And then Sherry talks about, basically, I learned all about sex and what I want to do with my body and how to express myself, and I'm really cool with that. Are you up for this, Stan? And it's very obvious, no, Stan is not up for this at all.
Stan is scared out of his mind. This woman both terrifies and attracts him.
She is way too much woman for him, and that I actually did like. So
yeah. And you got Jesse Lee Soffer as Dennis Loomis.
He's Gene's younger brother. He was fine.
Yeah, that's true.
And then Anne
Loomis is Lucinda Jenny. She, has like 5 lines. She's competent.
James Villamere, who kept saying to me, do I grow up to become Gary Oldman? Because I might.
I wondered. All I think is I want to be Fonzie.
Visually, not his acting was fine. It's
it was all right. He was a cartoon character, really.
Kind of. Speaking of cartoons or 3D or holographic characters, we have Robert Picardo as Howard the theater manager.
Yep, the Doctor from Star Trek Voyager.
And I gotta say, he's very different in this than he was there.
Yeah. No, he's very good at playing the sort of whiny, nerdy, annoying character, but he can also be very comforting and very authoritative.
Yeah.
And he shows a little range in this. Again, he's kind of a cartoon. A lot of the characters are.
So is Mr. Spector, Jesse White.
Yep. Jesse White. Oh, my God. Jesse White, who has been in everything. Everything. Every piece of television. Oh, yeah.
And speaking of being in everything, our old friend Dick Miller.
Dick Miller shows up. Yes.
Yeah. And you know that Dick Miller knew William Castle from Samuel Zarkov in American International and our old friend Roger Corman. But it was fun to see Dick Miller pop back up. And he plays and the funny thing is, as soon as his character shows up, it's like, oh... Obviously, Lawrence Woolsey has hired people to protest his new film Mant to get more people to go, and it's exactly what he's done.
Yep. He knows how to work publicity, and he has his partner there, John Sayles. You know who he is?
No.
Yeah, most people don't. I didn't either. He does some acting, but he's mainly he was an Oscar-nominated screenwriter.
Oh.
He wrote Passion Fish. He was nominated for that. He also worked with Roger Corman and wrote the screenplay for Battle Beyond the Stars and Piranha.
Oh.
He also wrote The Howling.
Is there an entire episode on Battle Beyond the Stars?
Yep. Yeah.
We should have done Piranha. Oh, well. And then we have, like, in the background, as you mentioned, we have William Shallert and Kevin McCarthy, which are giving such veritas to this fake 1960s
They really are.
Because Mant, this film's all about Mant. That's all I care about. Mant.
Yep.
So, yeah, the cast is fine. I didn't have any
Cast is
problem
decent.
anybody with,
Nope.
yeah, it was fine. It's not the main part of this film. As you pointed out, one of the main parts of this film, well, pick one, because there's kind of 3 or 4.
Yeah. There's a bunch of plots trying to happen at the same time.
Yeah. We have the coming of age for Gene. He's, an Army brat, or in this case, a Navy brat, and basically is like, I'm not going to try and make friends because we're just going to move in a year, and what's the point? Which he's not too depressed about it. He's just slowly becoming a loner because he's tired of having to move all the time, and he's got his brother and they get along, so he figures that's that in the movies, and my giant collection of Famous Monsters of Filmland is good enough. Because did you buy Famous Monsters when you were a kid?
No, I did not. I think the one store I went to I tried to get it, they had like a sealed vintage copy or signed by someone. It was too expensive.
Oh, they were still coming out well into the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
I did. Every time there was anything Star Trek or any science fiction film stuff in it, I'd buy it. And the best part is you could tell, even as a kid, they were just recycling the same old photos from the same old movies over and over. It's like, big article on Bela Lugosi. It's 1972. Who gives a crap? But, it was just people who absolutely loved monster movies, and that's what it was about. And you could tell, you could feel the passion coming out. And as a kid, that was it's like wacky packages,
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, so many wacky packages.
So we have Gene at a new school, and he's, trying not to make friends. He's actually very bad at not making friends.
Yeah, he's oddly appealing, and the kids were just like, we're going to be your friends, and there's nothing you can do about it.
We're going to call you Navy, and that's too bad. And it's like, okay.
Yep.
And, that's fine. But then, of course, we knew there was going to be a love interest because they're all horny young teenagers or 12-year-olds or whatever. And it's like...
And why wouldn't he be interested in Sandra?
Yeah.
She's the one who's aware. She's obviously smart. She knows what's going on.
Well, I thought there was going to end up being something between him and Sherry, and then we'd have issues with his new friend Stan.
They could have gone that way.
Yeah, well, except here's the thing.
Sherry
needs more of a man than Stan can be. She probably actually would have done better with Gene, although Gene and Sandra make a more interesting couple.
Yeah.
So we do a lot. There's a lot of there is a chunk of the film that deals with Gene because he's more or less the main character until Lawrence Woolsey shows up. And then Lawrence Woolsey. So we're going to talk about Lawrence Woolsey and all of the horror films he makes and all of the gimmicks he uses to get people to see them, and the fact that he and his girlfriend, who is obviously paying for half of everything, are about to be on the skids, and how he needs to make money from this film. Turns out William Castle did just fine. But
that was the thing. William Castle was such a good marketer, and that was one of the problems I had with this.
Yeah.
With the character. I love the character, but he's so good at it. Why is he so poor? Why is he having so much trouble?
Well, and here's the thing. He wanted to do B. Do we want to get to the William Castle stuff? Because I have all the
No. Yeah. Talk about William Castle.
So, first up is something that feels very fishy to me. His real name was William Schloss. Ha ha! That's German for castle. Oh.
What?
It is. Schloss is German for castle.
Okay.
He changed his name because, actually he was also Jewish, but there you go. Probably the biggest film he was associated with was Rosemary's Baby, which he produced.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah,
Wow.
He wanted to direct the film. He was trying to get out of B Pictures, and he had to deal with Paramount. But Paramount's like, you can produce it, but we really want this guy, Roman Polanski, to direct it instead.
Yeah, he seems like a stand-up guy.
Yeah. So, he managed to get the rights to that.
The kids.
It hadn't even been written yet. He got the rights early, which is probably why. But right after the movie was released, he developed kidney failure, and he wasn't able to take that success and move himself back into A Pictures, and then he died in 1977. So,
okay.
But he saw the stage play of Dracula with Bela Lugosi in 1929.
Oh, my.
He managed to meet Lugosi, and Lugosi helped him get a job as the assistant stage manager when he was 15.
Oh, that's very cool.
And sadly, he had been orphaned at age 11, and at age 15 dropped out of school to basically get into show business, which he did. So he worked in Broadway through his teens. He later got Orson Welles to rent him his theater in Connecticut so he could put on some play. But the woman star he chose was German, and as such, because of the time period, early 1940s, they could only be in German plays. So he wrote one. And then she got an invitation to perform in Germany. Castle seized upon that and made a big splash about how she was the girl who said no to Hitler, and then vandalized his own theater with swastikas so he'd make a big splash.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah. Then, at age 23, because he's got that old...
Oh, this is all before age 23.
Yep.
Okay.
He went to work for Columbia, where he started as a dialogue director and then was soon chosen as one of a few people to direct B pictures. Then in 1958, he wanted to go independent. He started that with a movie called Macabre. His first gimmick, to give every customer a $1,000 life insurance policy if they died from fright watching the movie. And he had...
Oh, he was the one who did that. Okay.
And he had actors dressed as nurses, and he had hearses parked outside the theaters.
Which we kind of see in this movie. I mean, Ruth Corday dresses up as a nurse, and she's having everyone sign releases, exempting them from responsibility if they die of terror.
Yeah. House on Haunted Hill, which we have seen, had Emergo. And Emergo was literally a plastic skeleton that was brought out on a wire at a climactic point near the end of the film. Once kids found out about that, they tried to knock it down with popcorn boxes and paper cups.
Didn't they succeed? Because I thought it fell on someone and actually injured somebody.
Yeah, it had
then they had to use an inflatable one.
Yeah, I mean, the original one had glowing red eyes and everything. So, and you know the scene because we've seen this. It's where it's being brought out of the acid bath at the end of the film.
Yeah.
So, and as you mentioned, the Tingler had. Now, it was originally reported, I think, in Golden Turkey Awards that they were electric shocks, but they weren't. They were just vibrating.
They
motors.
weren't. There was vibration. Yeah.
13 Ghosts had Illusion O. Homicidal, a film called Homicidal, had a fright break, a 45-second timer on screen where people could leave before the ending because it was, quote, too scary, end quote, and get a refund. However, of course, you can see where that might have gone. So to combat people trying to get a free movie, he created Coward's Corner, where you had to march past the audience, go to a nurse where you got your blood pressure taken, and they would blare over the loudspeakers, watch the chicken, watch him shiver in Coward's Corner, and then you had to sign a yellow card stating, I am a bona fide coward. In the trailer, he warned people not to give away the ending or their friends, quote, will kill you, and if they don't, I will.
Okay, I see that Goodman really captured the character.
Yeah, Mr. Sardonicus had a punishment poll where the audience could vote with a glow-in-the-dark thumb whether the title character lived or died. Luckily, no one's reported having voted no, so no one ever saw the alternate ending, which people speculate he never actually filmed.
Oops.
But yeah, so, and he kept going. He was doing this stuff through the mid-70s. So
good for him. We could do a whole series on him, it sounds like.
Supposedly, Hitchcock made Psycho because of William Castle and Corman horror films.
Really?
And then 2 of Castle's films were remade by his daughter, and they were House on Haunted Hill and 13 Ghosts. I've seen the 13 Ghosts remake, which I actually like. So, yeah. And if you want to learn more, there is a documentary called Spine Tingler, the William Castle story, which I am certainly going to check out. But
I'll check that out.
Yeah, he sounded like a lot of fun.
Thanks for all that.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
So then there's the third part of the plot.
Yeah?
Well, that would be the Cuban Missile Crisis. Because I thought they'd throw something in for spice.
You cannot overstate what that was like for people. My parents talked to me about that. You know, my mother was convinced we were all going to die.
Most people were.
Most of the country was convinced this was the end.
Yeah. Well, because there were nuclear missiles being brought to Cuba 90 miles off the coast of...
Oh, they were in Cuba. They were already there, but there were Russian ships bringing more and bringing supplies. So President Kennedy set up a blockade.
Yeah.
And all it would have taken is one cranky seaman with a rifle and we would have been at World War III.
No, we would not be doing this show.
Yes,
I think it's safe to say
would be doing.
if that happened, neither of us would be here.
Yeah, maybe a couple of cockroaches would be doing a show for other cockroaches, but
Yeah, or those little fuzzy things from Cat's Paw in Star Trek.
Yep.
Or Mant. We would be Mants.
That's it. We would all be Ment. Is that the plural?
Sure.
Mentos,
the fresh maker.
Mentos, the hands of fate.
Yeah, so we have these three major things going on. How well did they mix?
I don't know, really. I think the stuff with Gene and Woolsey mixes fairly well. Because, in a way, Woolsey is what Gene wants to be, although I assume a little classier. But he can see, and probably Woolsey can see something of himself in Gene. Although Gene, while he's a creator, or he's imaginative, he's not necessarily a con man, which is kind of what Woolsey is.
Yeah. Oh, no, he's definitely a con man. Although, to be fair, people are entertained. As goofy as his stuff was at the time, people were entertained. Going back and watching him now.
Fun. This was not like Ed Wood, where people would storm the theater or try to actively murder him because of it.
Yeah.
But people loved it, and he made a lot of them.
Yeah.
I don't know if we needed the horror, the real world horror of the Cuban Missile Crisis. I get why it's there, because that's part of the theme. Is like, this is when people need horror movies the most. They need something that they can walk out of and go, oh, that's over. It distracts them, it holds their attention, it frightens them in a controlled environment, and then it's done. People need that. That really does help. I won't kid you. In recent times, as things have not been going so great in the world, I found myself watching more horror movies.
Really?
I don't like horror movies, but I will watch them because I want to be frightened by something that I know isn't actually happening outside.
What did you watch? Can you bring any to mind? Or?
Oh, boy. I've tended to blank them out of my head.
Because you've defeated them, right? That's the idea.
Yes, I've defeated pretty much. I don't remember, because some of them I only watched part of them.
Let me guess, none of them has zombies in it or giant spiders.
I did watch one with a giant spider.
Really?
Yep.
If it was Earth versus Spider, it doesn't count.
No, that's and invasion of the giant spider invasion doesn't really count either, because that's a Volkswagen with pipe cleaners on it.
And Alan Hale riding around in it, or is it William Shatner? I can't remember.
No, it's Alan Hale. What is it? William Shatner's in the other spider movie.
Oh, right.
Empire of the Spiders, something like that.
Yeah.
A lot of spider movies.
Yeah.
Well, normally I don't like them, but like I watched Fall of the House of Usher, the miniseries, which, by the way, while disturbing, is really friggin' good.
Is it better than the Roger Corman version, though?
Well, come on, that's not fair. Nothing could be better than the Roger Corman version. That's an iconic classic, man. Let's
have a wizard duel. Okay. Oh, that's the Raven.
That was the Raven.
Yeah.
That one at least was funny.
See our entire episode. See all of our series on Roger Corman.
Yep.
It's funny because that's the thing I've not wanted to watch is horror movies, but it's interesting that you point that out. I'm going to agree with you. I think the Cuban Missile Crisis is not only a bit too specific, it's almost not dealt with in a way. It's there. It's
it's suddenly over.
Yeah, well, then to be fair, that is how it happened. It was like, 3 days or something? It was wasn't it short?
13.
13, okay. I knew it was a very short time. And being the son of a naval, I can't say that word, a Navy man, because it's dirty. I can totally see why he would be upset about his dad, and I do like the parts where he's trying to comfort his younger brother and stuff, and try to be quote unquote the man of the family. But it's kind of a big thing, especially when those people were very, very near. And I've been to Key West half a dozen times. Parts of it may not have been shot there, but a lot of parts of it were. And you are very much out on your own. There is one road that goes there, and that's it.
Yeah.
And if
when they do destroyed, you got to swim.
One of the first things they show, which is sadly true today, if there's even going to be some inclement weather, is when people go in impulse shop and the woman grabbing all the toilet paper is still recently when they're like
panic shopping.
When they were like, there's a strike at the shipyards, we're not going to get any imports, and people went nuts buying toilet paper, and it's like, we don't import that. It's here.
Yeah, we actually make that here. We have, trees. But it was like during COVID.
Yeah.
Same thing. Oh, no, panic shopping does not go away. No. That has not changed.
And it was really bad there because, like, when's the next shipment of stuff? Next week?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it felt, the focus of the picture kept changing. And I think that may affect the outcome of our show this week. That's all I'm going to say. But yeah.
I have to say, I really like the dialogue. I think there's some really great lines. Most of them are John Goodman's. I still like, Mr. Woolsey, we've never shorted anyone. Really? Well, you should learn how.
Yeah.
And the lines in Mant, the ones that are, well, that's one of my problems with Mant.
Okay, let's talk about
There
Mant.
are too many points in there that are intentionally funny. The best thing about those movies is how goofy they were because they took them so seriously. But, when a character is bitten by a radioactive ant, and instead of becoming a superhero, he starts turning into a man ant and then a giant ant. But he can still talk for a while. And at one point, his girlfriend is saying, Bill, can't you focus on the man and put the insect aside? Insecticide? Where?
I know, and I agree. It's more of a parody than it is an actual homage, but I did laugh when he said that.
I did too. The one that made me crack up is when General Kevin McCarthy is out there with all the soldiers, and this huge ant is climbing the building, and he's going, Bill, come down off that building. We've got sugar for you.
And Kevin McCarthy, who not only had been in Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the original 50s version, had only a couple years before this been in Weird Al's UHF. So
yes, he had.
My problem with Mant wasn't so much that. I didn't mind that. My problem was the special effects in Mant were way too good for an early 60s black and white science fiction film.
Oh, especially the sequence at the end, where it appears that an atomic explosion has happened in the theater and that the screen is on fire. Right. That was way too realistic. It was way too good. They didn't have the tech to do that in 1962.
But just the Mant head, the way the mandibles are moving when he talks and the antennae are moving, it's like, oh no, they wouldn't have bothered that.
Detailed.
No. Even in The Fly, he just moves his head.
The costume that Harvey is wearing in the theater, that's way too elaborate. It's way too good.
To be fair, that costume should have been the one in the film. But the giant ant part, it was too good. There was way too much money spent on it, but I still enjoyed it. I will say the Mant parts, like that film, I bet if it was a real film, it would have dragged. It felt there were some points where it's like it's taking. Also, we would never have seen him just on camera talking that much as the Mant. Because they always like to keep those in, like as shock value. My favorite part, though, is at the end, William Shallert gets to choose some scenery, and it's like, that's not a hand! And it turns out, because he was bitten by the Mant, he turns into a Mant, too.
Of course. That's just science. I do also like how the science guy, the professor, what's his name, keeps explaining things. Yeah. It will cause it to accelerate. Go faster.
Yeah. I did like that guy, although he did feel a little Kentucky Fried Movie, but
a little bit.
Yeah. So
Mant is fun, but it also causes problems.
It's almost a distraction.
Kind of.
Yeah.
And I do like a lot of the stuff about the panic shopping and the fact that people actually had all these useless bomb shelters, and that they point out that the bomb shelters were not nearly as secure as they told us they were.
Yeah.
That whole sequence where the two kids, Gene and Sandra, get locked in the bomb shelter together, and unfortunately they find them too soon.
Well, now, let's face it. As soon as we see there's a bomb shelter, we know two things.
Oh,
one, someone's going to get locked in it, and two, we know who's going to get locked in it.
We're pretty sure. I wasn't sure. The first time I saw it, I thought it might have been Stan and Sherry.
I thought it might be all four, but it was definitely going to be Gene. Definitely going to be Gene and Sandra.
Gene was going to be in there,
And, if you want to take this further, what you'd need for a bomb shelter is literally Pauly Shore's biodome. And we still haven't perfected that. So it's like either the poop would back up or you'd run out of clean air or the radiation would get you or whatever. Just those, it's all panic stuff. And
it was also back when they didn't know how long radioactive half-lives were.
Yeah.
They would think of, if you just stay in the bomb shelter for a month, you're fine. Oh, 15,000 years? Whoops.
We need more magazines and toilet paper.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
well, one turns into the other, I guess.
I don't know if you remember, but back when Y2K was happening, there was a resurgence of those things.
Oh, yeah. Everyone was going, I got to live off the grid. I'll build a shed in my backyard. There, I'm safe.
If I remember correctly, the only thing bomb shelters ended up doing was leaking and becoming real problems for the people who owned the houses that had them.
Oh, for the property damage, the stuff that did to the property values was horrific.
Yeah.
Some people figured out a way to open up the top of them and turn them into in-ground swimming pools.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I could see making it like a little bar or something to give parties in, but eventually the concrete would leak and because, all that stuff. But you know what else leaks is the end of our show.
What?
I know. I tried to do a metaphor.
It does not leak, and nor does it wear a saggy diaper.
I know, but I tried to do a metaphor, and it just causes pain. Shall we get to the end of our show where we decide?
Yeah, I would just like to say one other thing. One thing I really liked about Lawrence Woolsey in this is he's really intelligent. He's not like some goofy-ass character. When everyone's in the balcony, and the balcony's about to fall, and Howard says to him, should we turn off the movie? And instantly knows, no, they'll stop. It's like he knows in a second that would just make things worse. And I like that.
Well, shall we get to that part, or shall I make another metaphor and hurt people?
Let's get to that part.
The finish.
So, Max.
Yeah.
You saw it once on video sometime back in the 90s.
Yes.
And you said you kind of liked it, but
I liked it. I enjoyed it. Mm-hmm.
This is a show, and we have to be more critical on this show because that's what people expect. Those people being you and me. What do you think this time?
Honestly, I enjoy it, but I don't think it's a good movie.
Yeah.
I think it's light and fluffy and fun, and it shouldn't be because it's dealing with one of the most terrifying times in American history, actually in world history.
Yeah.
But I like the performance. I love John Goodman in this, and I like Kathy Moriarty. She has some of the best lines. As the nurse, it's great, The nurse, he's fainted. Yeah, I think you're right. Or, nurse, I skinned my elbow. That looks bad. Next.
Yeah. Sign the insurance form.
Yeah, yep. I like the performances. I like the people in it. But it doesn't hold together as a movie. It's like 3 movies that they couldn't quite decide which way they wanted to go. What about you? You had you saw it when it came out
with the director
himself, and you said you enjoyed the Mant part more than the movie.
And I think that I'm going to totally agree with you. I think it's got too many foci here. There's too much going on, and we can't really deal with any one thing. If I had to pick one thing, I would pick Lawrence Woolsey. Because honestly, I think he's the most interesting and fun part of the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a nice little coming-of-age story that could be its own film.
But we've seen that.
Yeah.
This would be... Focusing on Woolsey would be different and interesting.
And fun, I think, because at least the character as portrayed here is fun. And then we could do an entire film, or I'm sure people have done entire films on the Cuban Missile Crisis, because, that was only a gigantic thing. So I think mixing all of those things together, it never quite solidifies.
It doesn't gel.
No.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it.
And in my notes, I used the same word you did. I said fluff, but kind of fun. I think there's a very definite innocence to this film, both in the innocence of the horror, quote unquote, that people used to be afraid of, the innocence of Gene's age and coming of age, and now, girls. And the innocence of people falling for Lawrence Woolsey's gimmicks when, like, all it takes is 1 second. It's like, excuse me? It's going to do what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's a time that we can't bring back, and in a lot of ways we shouldn't. Racism. But, it does have that, and it's also very brightly lit. There are no shadows in this film at all.
No,
now, I know it's Florida, but still, even the movie theater.
Inside the theater there is some.
Barely. It is the most brightly lit theater I've ever seen.
Very brightly lit theater, yeah.
It's fluff. It is just fluff.
Yeah.
It barely fits the criteria. Not that that's the film's fault for this series, because it's really more about the marketing than it is the making of.
True.
Though, if you have any love for old 50s and 60s science fiction horror films, I honestly think you're going to love the little insets of Mant, because it's dead on. It is a parody. It's not playing it straight, but...
No, but it nails everything it goes after with it.
It's like the end of The Incredibles when they have the Underminer and you're sitting there going, why did nobody think of this before? It's perfect. And Mant is perfect. Ant. So, if you're looking for a little bit of fluff about this part, sure. But it's short. It's not too long. It's an hour and a half, basically. Hour 38, I think is what it is. But
you know what isn't an hour and a half?
No, what?
Our poll question.
Yay!
See, I can't do transitions either.
That's better than a lot of mine.
We're going to go ahead and ask you, do you have a favorite hate watch movie? A movie that on some level you just can't stand. You know it's bad for you, or it's a bad movie, but you can't stop yourself from watching. And you can tell us this by going to our website, maxmikemovies.com, and leaving a comment.
Oh, dear.
Or a comment.
I can't believe it took 314 episodes for you to do that.
I know. I was building to it. I was building. Or you can email us directly at maxmikemovies.com. You can also find us on the Batch Books.
Facebook.
Whatever. Under Max Mike Movies.
And hey, real quick, I have a question for people. Seems there's a lot of folks talking about leaving Facebook and going to Bluesky.
Bluesky? I thought it's Blue Sky.
Oh. Never mind. No.
I don't know.
If you think we should open up and you would answer the poll question on Bluesky instead of Facebook, let us know. I'll post something on the Facebook page too.
Yeah,
let us know. There's a lot of people talking about leaving, so... but yeah, please continue on other things about the show.
No.
Okay, I will.
Now I'm hurt. Yeah, and of course you can find us on the podcast. Hold on. Rented Lips. Toy Boat. The Sixth Sheep Sick. You can find us on the podcast app of your choice. I knew the words somehow. We're probably there. And most importantly, you can leave a message on our super secret
saucy
Captain Midnight Decoder Ring hotline at 617-398-7266. That number again, 617-398-7266, and we will use your response on the show.
Yes, we will.
Yes, we will. But we are well and truly in it now, or as Gregory Peck would say, we're in it now, up to our necks.
A backpack full of peck. Ew.
What is our next entry, Mike?
Well, we've kind of got off the theme a little bit. We've had films that are less and less to do with the making of films, so I thought I'd go back towards that a little bit more. I'm going to swerve back into the theme. Now, this, to be fair, is a film I have not seen. I'm pretty sure it's a buddy picture, but it still has to do with the making of movies. It's a buddy film. I don't know if they're cops or not, but their names are State and Maine.
State and Maine.
Yeah.
Okay, I've heard of that. I never saw
Oh, you didn't either?
No.
Supposedly, this is what I took a brief look on its IMDb page. Parts of it were filmed in Malden.
Oh, invest in Malden.
Yeah. So we're going to see this buddy film, two guys named State and Maine, and all this has to...
Wait a minute. Aren't they streets?
Or...
Pretty sure.
Or streets, and what that has to do with making films. Next week on Max, Mike, State and Maine and Movies.
This has been a co-production of The Voice of Max and The Movie Wrench.